everyone, and welcome to Qodron's Uprising Dev Commentary number 6. I am Good Game Kitty, the creator of the Dungeons and Destiny project.
I'm Martin, the lead writer and editor for Dungeons and Destiny.
I'm Lore. I'm an artist on D&DESTINY.
I'm Yumi. I'm the general project assistant and social media manager for Dungeons and Destiny.
Yeah, everyone say hi to Yumi. Yumi has recently joined our team, and how you liking it around here so far, Yumi?
Very interesting.
Is it anything that, like, what expectations do you have coming into this? Just keep in mind.
I didn't have any.
I was about to say, just keep in mind you can't give away our ancient secrets that we have locked in the basement.
No. I don't even know where the keys for those are.
Yeah, neither do I. Anyways, I've also even forgotten what secrets are down there. But yeah, Yumi has been helping out. You might have seen her doing posts and stuff around in our announcements channels. She's been helping manage our Instagram and our Twitter. I'm sure you'll be seeing tons and tons more from her in the future. But that is all conversations for another day, because today we are talking about Qodron's Uprising. And we're going to take a little bit of a detour from our usual discussion, because usually what ends up happening is we come in here and we talk about the last stream, and we go over what happened, what worked, what didn't work, any mechanics and stuff like that, and talk about possibly changing things. This time, though, kind of what I want to talk about is more about the setup that we have for Qodron's Uprising and how it was presented on the server and how the reaction to that has been. The TLDR of how Qodron's Uprising works on the server is that it is what we call a server event. So we have this shared universe that, even though we have, like, oh god, how many VAs do we have? 6 or 8, somewhere in that range?
Somewhere.
We'll say half a dozen. We have half a dozen VAs, and myself and the other dev team member, Elias, and Yumi now, who is no longer a VA but is on the team. We're all running games that take place in the shared Destiny universe that we've been creating. People can, like, go to destinations and stuff, and they can... There's been some... I think we've only had one strike. Mostly just a lot of patrolling around, talking to other server members, and getting characters involved with one another. I know how the English language works. Thank you very much.
Nobody knows how the English language works.
I think we have like 12 VAs. Just
at one point we did, but then school started back up again, and that we tend to.
I'm just looking at the line here of VAs on the thing. Plus, we have our interim VAs coming in.
All right, well, then a whole dozen. The point is, we have this shared universe where people go out and they do patrols and stuff like that, and it's very player-driven in those sessions, but then we host these events, and these events are modules that we, the dev team, have put together, and we're running them, and they influence and can be influenced by players in that shared universe. And for Qodron's Uprising, unlike other events we've done in the past, there is actually a bar to entry, as it were. And that was that players had to have a certain reputation, a certain positive reputation with Varix before he would extend the invitation for you to hop into the prison and try to take down Qodron. Basically, the narrative reason being that Varix isn't going to, like, hey, you level 1 kindergarten, you go run in there and possibly dink around with prison systems, because Varix can't entirely keep track of you as you're running around through those sections of the prison. So he just wants to know, 1, you're competent, 2, he has an idea of your character. So, not anyone could just hop right in. They had to compete in the Challenge of Elders, and there was a list of tasks they could do in the Challenge of Elders to, influence Varix's opinion of them. And once they hit that rank, then they could start going into Qodron's Uprising. And we had a few players right away who just hopped on board with that. They were doing the challenges, boom, 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 knocking them out, getting in there ASAP. And we had some other players who weren't doing those challenges for a number of reasons. One, they just weren't interested in doing the challenges. Two, time. Time, I would say, is the biggest barrier to entry there. And yeah, just either not interested, I would say not interested time, and also that confidence. Yumi, Laura, you're gonna have to let me know if I'm onto anything here. But the challenges as they were laid out, I would say there is a small percentage of players that were not confident in their ability to complete them, and so they never tried. Yes or no?
In just in a challenge of elders run, they didn't have the confidence to. I think the only lack of confidence people would have is they would not try the higher tiers because I don't think they're confident in being able to complete it. I don't know what players' hesitancy is because I don't GM them, Yumi.
I feel like part of it is narrative purpose in terms of some of the characters. Like Kitty mentioned, time is definitely a thing because I know there's a decent amount of the player base that on Sundays they kind of have their time compromised between work or between family, so they're not really able to get engaged in that way like some of us are. Like I was in the first 2 Qodron streams because I wasn't working at that time and I can't do it anymore because I work now. But that is part of it. In regards to the players in challenge, it's definitely a matter of whether or not there's interest in engagement or if they want to engage like in different ways. Say like we have people on the server that they may not be able to participate in the event, but maybe they could help forge weapons for the people who are going to participate in it because of the barrier for what kind of weapons you're eligible to use. In another regard, for some people, it's not in their character's interest. It's not something that their character would pursue. So they don't pursue it because it's not in their character's nature to. It's not something they care about. In regards to the difficulty, there's been a bit more of a surge lately as to people tackling on the higher levels because I feel like part of it is there was such a small base of us that could tackle the higher levels that before everyone's like, we're not high enough yet, we can only really go as far as like maybe advanced. But now that they see some other people like in their groups sort of hitting those higher tiers, it's encouraging them to go to those higher tiers with them. Like, oh wait, if our friends could do it, maybe we could try it now. Like maybe it isn't as bad as we thought it was. Originally it was just like the 4 to 6 of us that were like grandfathered in at more of the higher levels that could tackle everything, but they don't see us around very often. They see like Eidolon's Trillium, who's been on stream. They see Enyo, who's been on stream, but there aren't a lot of us at higher level that can show them like, hey, this is possible, you should try this, in regards to, going in there, pursuing it, building rep in order to proceed with Qodrons.
Yeah, definitely really looking forward to people finally starting to consistently take on the expert and master tiers in Challenge of Uprising.
All I'm gonna say is that somebody mentioned like master levels, like they mentioned it so little I didn't even know there was a master. I didn't know there was a master level.
I'll be fair. I'll be fair. Like, I was supposed to be hosting a doubles, like, last weekend for, like, 2 of the players that are, like, on the server, and it was originally supposed to be an expert, and I'm like, you know what? I know these guys well enough to know that even if they lose, they like a challenge. And this could be, like, a quote-unquote spectacle of sorts, where it's like, if I can talk them into this, I want to see what happens if I'm able to talk them into this, and what other people will see if they see that it's happening. So I waited for both of them to join the chat, and I'm just like, so I rolled up expert and master today.
Oh my
God. You guys willing to go?
She has been convincing teams.
Whenever people ask, they're like, does anybody want to do beginner, advanced, or expert today? And like nobody asks if they even want to do like master. Like it's not even like put on the board. So I'm literally not kidding when I say like I had no idea master level even existed.
Bit off topic, but recently, Yumi, I think it was you who GM'd was it expert or master? It had Laz, Bass, a few other players.
It was master. I had talked Laz and Bass into it, and okay. Elias was there to get something.
Yeah, so those guys went into it, and then they found out that they were getting literally millions of glimmer per round that they managed to complete. And
Yeah, friggin' 1,400,000 from one singular wave.
yeah, and I'm hoping because there's a lot of other people who are kind of watching it at the same time, and they're like, wait a minute, how much glimmer? And I'm hoping we can tap into that primal greed instinct and be like, if you survived even one round in Master, you could afford a jump ship. It's just
Or,
one round.
We could afford to immediately rebuild that hospital that everybody just seems to have forgotten about.
Oh no, they absolutely haven't. Every time so far that I've had to do any Vanguard patrol downtime that is for the Vanguard, I usually don't roll the glimmer. And people are like, can you roll the glimmer and put it towards the hospital? And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, you go grab it.
Good, because I thought the money for the hospital was not going up because the number was not really being like, like the number was not going, haha, number go burr like it was before. So I was just sort of like, oh, okay.
Okay, but
it's a lot more to tackle now.
Okay, but we're way off topic here now. We're talking about just general server stuff. But coming back to Qodron's Uprising, so I kind of anticipated from the beginning that there would be, an issue with time with some players who would really want to play, but they wouldn't have the time to work on their reputation with the Varix. And we might get people joining in later, or just, because we're getting new people, basically. I would say maybe new players every week now at this point. And I had this system where if your character got to an even higher reputation with Varix, then you could invite people and say, Varix, I'm going to vouch for this person. This person is a good person and all that fun stuff. They're talented. They're not going to completely fuck up your prison. And Varix would be all like, okay, but just so you know, it's both your life and your reputation on the line now. And I was hoping people would utilize that a little bit more than what they have been. It's basically only been happening as kind of like an emergency situation where we end up with some of our players not being able to make it to the session and they find out only last minute or something like that. So one of the other players who's still in the session has to then extend their +1. It hasn't really been something people have been trying to set up on their own. And I was really looking forward to seeing that. I was really hoping, because I wanted to put it together this way because, just general, having to get your reputation with Varix, having narrative match the mechanics. Big fan of that. But also just trying to nudge people into kind of a stronger sense of community among our players and giving them basically narrative hooks with each other. So even if two players are player to player, they are, a really intertwined community, and they do hang out with each other a lot. Character-wise, though, we kind of have a few pods of characters, and then not much beyond that. The vast majority of people just kind of roleplay their own characters talking to each other. Agree or disagree? You, me, and Lore.
No, in a general sense, the ones that have been in Qodron so far are active with those characters with other people, and it is you're correct in the sense that it is specific pods of people. They all try to do things together, but I feel it also comes into another factor of time. There are people that want to interact with other characters to try to get them involved, but part of it is does this person have time to do something with me right now? It's another factor of time separate to that of just the stream portion of that.
Yeah, just really, honestly, good intentions, but I think the wrong problem was targeted. And not that community interaction was a problem. It was more just trying to give people avenues for that. Give people our characters don't have a reason to talk to each other right now, because, you might not want to you might not be wanting to set anything up with that character. You're talking about role-playing and setting up stories and stuff like that. But if you wanted to get in on Qodron's Uprising, that might encourage you to reach out to other players and say, hey, is there anything we can do between our characters? I'd love to be a +1 on a stream. But yeah, the problem that seems to be needing addressed is time.
I was kind of hoping, though, like, as they get used to what's going on in Qodron's Uprising, that they would get a little bit more of a streamlined situation happening where they get through the first encounters a little bit quicker to get to the final boss and spend more time on that.
We are starting to
before
see
getting
that.
jettisoned. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to see that. And we didn't have a stream last week, so.
But the last stream we did do, that was Qodron's Uprising number 8. The players actually managed, because pretty consistently they've been getting to the first boss, which is either the networked servitor or the Overmind Minotaur, one or the other. They've been consistently getting there by the end of their session, and then they'd have to finish it up the next week. Last time, though, they actually managed to get to engineering block R201, which is 3 encounters from the end. So 2 encounters after the first boss. So they've actually been getting faster, and they've been getting through more content. And then, eventually they're gonna, well, not eventually, whenever the next fire team goes through the Prison of Elders, they're actually gonna have access to half of the teleporters, so they'll be going even faster. And they'll be able to, they'll be able to get to the final boss in, 3 encounters? 4 encounters. I had to think about that one a little bit. But looking forward, and kind of looking at our setup on the server and trying to figure out ways of delivering server events, because another problem that we have right now is that because it was hard to get a large amount of people involved at the beginning of the event, we are so far into it that characters who have the capacity to be involved, the players no longer want to be involved because it's just they're coming in so late into the game. And that's going to be another problem we're going to have to deal with no matter what module or server event we do in the future. We saw this with Infinite Forest, we saw this with EDZ, we're seeing it again with Qodron's Uprising. So, having to... Oh god, I just glanced over the stream here. This is the part where I completely flubbed it up. The name of the exotic weapon is the Transfinite Needle. Judgment of the Moirai? Martin, how do you pronounce that one?
Moirai.
Moirai, thank you. It is exactly how it is spelled. I don't know why I thought it was different. Yeah, that's the name of the perk, not the weapon, is the Transfinite Needle. I'll have to let them know in the future. They are on the last step, by the way. They just need to get some parts in Glimmer to Varix, and then they will have the Transfinite Needle. And we'll see if...
gonna make Qodron happy.
We're just gonna make Qodron happy?
Yeah, because isn't he, like, the thing that makes him happy is a bunch of guardians that are, like, that can actually, like, defeat him or whatever?
Qodron has stationed itself in the prison with the explicit purpose of waiting for a specific guardian. I mean, in canon Destiny, it's waiting for you, the guardian, to show up so it can kill you for killing Zydron, if I'm remembering correctly.
But I mean, that's their last step. They gotta make Qodron happy.
But as for...
they're like doing it, but... No.
But as for what's happening in our module, that's kind of just been like... Qodron's gotten tired of waiting around and has done all of this to encourage guardians to show up and try doing things.
Go make them happy. Just want some guardians to come and hang out.
I will say, for other things we have been doing on the server, in terms of trying to... God, I honestly feel like a corporate shill every time I say this, but this is the term for it. It's player engagement. In terms of player engagement, such as organizing the resources and everything, or the players trying to figure out how to get the ether together for Thrissix and the wolves, and coming together with all the simulation seeds, which was in session before last.
Yes.
And then, unrelated to Qodron's Uprising, we had a thing happen where a latent Cabal warhead, which was buried there during the Red War, it finally went off and destroyed one of the hospitals in the city, and it's It's basically a glimmer sink, because a lot of our Guardians had a lot of money, and we had a lot of players being like, I have all this money and I don't know what to do with it. It's like, here, fine, rebuild a hospital. See if I care. But also...
It really was just a glimmer sink? I thought it was something special.
Well, no, there's the potential for other things to happen there. Because, if another disaster were to strike before the hospital is rebuilt, you're going to be in a way worse situation.
And suddenly the Vex appear.
And suddenly it's the Endless Night. What's that? We skipped 2 DLCs. But no.
Yeah, we've been behind anyway.
But as for Stitch in Time quest, particularly that one, because like I said, they're on the last step here. A lot of the steps... it's, as the players have said, it very much feels like a Destiny exotic quest because of how many steps there are to it. And it's a lot of, oh my god, go over here and get this, and then go over there and get that, and then go over there and get that. And they're just like, God.
Sounds like somebody's asking to have to get an arbitrary number of kills in the hundreds for an additional step.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta attune yourself to it by going to destinations and getting kills on destinations.
Maybe not
God.
in the hundreds, though. I don't even think we have that many enemies.
We could. We could.
Well, whatever the scaled equivalent to, having to grind out like 500 weapon kills in the game is.
It'd probably be like 50. But we could. We could. We're not going to, but we could. Maybe for a future exotic weapon, we'll do that.
I like that line of thinking. You gotta just kill shit. Never fails.
I mean, that's what you had to do in Destiny 1, actually. You would get a weapon and it would have perks. Not exotics, just a weapon that would have perks, and your armor would have perks. But you had to unlock the perks by getting XP, which, you run around and kill things. And it was okay. The amount of XP you had to get was absolutely ridiculous, and I am glad they went away from that model, though. And it's just, here's your weapon with your perks, so you could just play with those perks right away. And if you got a weapon with a really cool perk combination, you didn't have to go grind out, 20 minutes shooting into the loot cave to get enough XP, or eat 500 motes of light to get enough XP so you could actually test it out and see if you liked that perk combination.
Yeah.
Got that.
Yeah. And the exotics, they were the worst, though. And a lot of the perks were actually just kind of like XP gatekeepers, I suppose you could call them. They didn't do... There was like, oh, the damage of the weapon is increased, and it's a fractional amount, and it's just, empty levels, essentially. But narratively, it makes sense, though. On a narrative level, you're out there training with a weapon, and as you train with it, your ability grows such that the quote-unquote perks are unlocked. And I did appreciate that.
No, it's that the more you use it, the more light gets like jammed up in it, which is the conceit behind the motes of light. If you've just got, light crumbs in a jar, you can just jam them right in there, save yourself a lot of time.
Okay, yeah. That makes, This, yeah. But what is the rolling random weapons then? Is that just kind of, grabbing from the Lego bin?
There are some fundamental conceits to the mechanical needs of the looter shooter. But if you really want to bend over backwards to explain why weapons have random perks, the perks weapons have sometimes represent functionality of the weapon itself in a technical sense, but often we are to take them to represent effects the weapons can produce because of the infusion of light into the hardware. So the fact they're random, why is that the case? There's no good narrative reason. But
yeah.
You can say, well, listen, this is how this one turns out when you jam your light into it. Shrug emoji.
But back on the topic of Qodron's Uprising the server, Martin, you've been listening in this whole time. Do you have any thoughts to throw on the pile?
It kind of sounds like you got to incentivize participation in some special way. Not that this is my expertise, but Destiny is a great example of a complex manifold of mechanisms that get us to do things that we don't really want to do or don't really feel like doing sometimes in order to get stuff we want.
I enjoy picking triangles up off the ground, okay?
I've so had it with triangles on the
I
ground.
am.
Don't even
I
get me started
love.
about moats. If I have to pick up one more flavor of moat, so help me, I'm going to keep picking up those moats until I get the roll of the whatever seasonally available weapon it is that's compelling me to do that. But I'm increasingly resentful about it. Anyway, the point is, like, especially for your mechanism to like invite people to vouch to Varix, like, hey, I know a guy, this person's okay. Like, if that comes bundled with some special class of reward options for both players' characters, like maybe that will nudge people to avail themselves of that option more frequently.
I mean, I'm fine with actually, like, yeah, giving them a reward, and I'm fine with actually just being like, you know what? If you invite someone and you go through Qodron's Uprising and you don't steal everything that's not bolted down, then your reputation with the Varix is like instantly up to 3. So you only have to do it the one time, and then you're free to go in whenever you want after that.
Yeah, that could work. I mean, or just a special loot table that they get access to if they go in and don't blow it. I don't know.
Don't blow it.
Sweeten the pot in some way that might make people who have access, more interested in inviting people, and make people who may be invited more interested in accepting. And on the other hand, I don't know anything about this whole qualification process through doing Challenge of the Elders stuff, but in a similar vein, perhaps there is additional special incentivization that we could deploy, besides just, hey, if you rank up enough, you get to do the server event thing. Maybe Varix can, I don't know, air a commercial like crazy deals in Challenge of Elders or something that will lead people to get past that threshold.
Maybe the advertisement is that Varix indeed will let you take anything that isn't bolted down, so long as you kill Qodron. But if Qodron's still alive when you come back, you don't get to keep it. But if Qodron is dead when you come back, you do get to keep it.
Something like that. I don't know.
That was like.
I don't know what you can really offer people, but I'm just saying, if the bar is just you must be at this rank to enter the thing, then the incentive to do the stuff they have to do to get to that rank is just to enter the thing. And some people will want to enter the thing and will do the stuff. But if we need more people who aren't already at that rank, we can maybe get more people to get there if we give them additional reasons to want to hit that rank anyway, even if they're not really connected to.
I know what. Oh wait, no, might be too late for that.
Qodron's Uprising.
Oh, sorry,
Oh.
sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
No,
Yumi,
no.
did you have something?
I do, because something else to take into consideration, I guess, for this is that, at least from my witness through the different downtime activities everybody's been pursuing, and back on the topic of people that can't participate trying to help by making things for people who can, there are some players that have characters that have been eagerly wanting to get involved with Qodrons, but part of the issue is they don't feel ready to go yet, because they want to go in with, they want to be able to go in with certain weapons or certain armors, and they're not really in a position to do so at this moment. So they're trying to get in touch with, hey, who are the weaponsmiths on the server? Who's the armorsmiths on the server? Hey, can you help make something for me? I'll get the supplies for you. So when that gathered downtime change that was put on the server, maybe a month ago, maybe? It was changed from so when it was changed from 3 days to 1, everybody lost it and just started gathering resources. Nobody cared about the experience so much as they cared about, I need this resource, somebody give me this resource. Zerix is a great example. How many weeks has she been going to Mercury?
She has been trying. I think she's
trying
done
to get the 1% chart.
15, 20 resource gathering. He's trying to get one Ascendant Shard, and the one time someone got an Ascendant Shard and it went into the Forge Requisitions. So we have this downtime system. You can go gather materials at destinations, Ascendant Shards, Worm Spore, blah blah blah, and you use those materials to craft exotic weapons. But if you patrol a destination, but you do it in service of the Vanguard, whatever materials you find go into Forge Requisitions, which you can go purchase from. So even if you didn't find the materials, Forge Requisitions might have it for sale. There was one Ascendant Shard that went into Forge and it was bought by another player in 2 minutes before Xerix could get in there and buy it.
To be fair, people have offered Xerix Ascendant Shards or whatever.
It's just
Just the one. But they're she won't. Kazgan refuses. Her character refuses out of some weird sense of pride of just buying one from somebody. So I mean, they are kind of making it a little bit different.
But it is really funny.
It's in the aspect of you want to play your character like your character, you want to do what they would do, not just for the sake of it's convenient.
So what needs to happen then is that another character who has an Ascendant Shard has to persuade Kazgan to buy it off.
Oh, yeah!
Gonna play our characters.
Okay.
We need to start being kind of pushy here.
We can have someone with lore. Via Dian.
Via Dian might have some shards, yeah.
Have Via Dian show up and be like, this is for you. No, I insist. No, take it. Take it. The light wants you to have this. I will follow you everywhere you go until you take it.
Yeah, pretty much. My son's singer visions say, you needed this. I don't know who you are.
I don't know who you are, but you do need this.
You like fishing. It's just one of those situations where, yes, Kazgan may be too prideful, but there may be a character that Kazgan knows that has an Ascendant Shard that is far more stubborn and pushy and can roll persuasion and or deception. That could potentially just, get them to buy it eventually, because...
If they don't, they're just gonna keep going. It's like in the equal standing of what are the odds that someone's gonna convince my character to not restrain them with her smoke?
So just thinking about this though, in the idea that we don't want people to fall into this it's some kind of gambling mechanic.
Though essentially it is dice rolls.
Yeah, but I don't want people to think that they're obligated to only find something through
Yeah.
I don't want people to think that they have to be forced to do it 20, 30 times just for RNG to potentially like them. I don't want them to be stuck in that mindset either.
I was thinking of redoing Gather Resources so that your proficiency bonus plays a role in it, and potentially, instead of the other ways that proficiency bonus has been playing a role in it, it might be the proficiency bonus is probably something along the lines of you can roll a number of times equal to half your proficiency bonus and choose what you get to take.
Mm-hmm.
Or, proficiency might just give you a guaranteed amount, and then the higher stuff, the rarer stuff, you still have to do a roll for, but it's on a table where the rarer stuff are more likely to go to you.
I think that would be better.
But regardless of that, again, so we're on 6 different tangents here. This train's going all over the place. Who laid these tracks?
Because we start talking about player character choice and decisions, and we've got 20 plus active characters on the.
I think we have 30 players. Let alone
we got
characters.
20 plus was just being generous for myself.
But
we got a lot of players right now.
There's a few things we can implement right away. I do think for a large portion of a player base, it is actually going to be a little bit on the quote-unquote too late side for them. We are kind of coming towards the end here. They are finishing up the Transfinite Needle. They're coming up on the last step of Thrissix. They're going to be doing Thrissix Gambit next. So they'll be finishing up that side quest, and then it's just a matter of time before they defeat the node, before they figure that out and they defeat it. So we do have I do have plans for getting some VAs who are not me to run Qodron's Uprising in a few private sessions just to, we're going to put in all of our adjustments based on feedback and stuff, then have a couple of other VAs run it in, their private groups. They'll go from start to finish. It'll not be, shared universe with the rest of the server. It's like Shortswald. They're all sequestered in their own universes and they don't talk to each other. There will still be opportunity for players, especially if you are new. You'll be able to hop in and try this again. Right now, though, I was kind of thinking of putting out a bounty on Qodron in the 10 million glimmer range.
Swords.
Whoever brings Varric's, Qodron's head, eye, whatever, Vex juice box, whoever does that, they get like 10 million glimmer, and, we can dump a bunch of materials and stuff on them too. Because I think there's like glass needles are in high demand because people just have a hard time finding Xur because the cards just aren't very nice. We also do have the other thing that needs to be found in the EDZ, and that other thing is the NPC character that has been stealing from people and hoarding all of their stolen stuff. They're not doing anything with the stolen stuff. They are literally just hoarding it in the EDZ. So as soon as players find that, they will have a hoard to go into. That'll be great. But yeah, Yumi, Lore, as players, how do you feel about if there is a 10 million bounty that just went out?
I do not care about money, and so
Dang it.
Jasmine may have been interested, but I don't think she would have ever gotten there because I don't think she's stepped foot into Challenge of Elders in literally months, and that's why I retired her. So if she was still there, maybe she'd be interested, but I don't think she'd be able to actually try for it.
No, for me, specifically one of my characters. So the one that was grandfathered in from like the first half of the Challenge of Elders, has a shop. I didn't donate any glimmer to the hospital, I'm not gonna lie.
So you still have your millions.
Million.
Okay.
To be fair, it was just I do not have nearly as much as what Sandman and the others have. But what I was trying to do to try to engage with other players and to try to promote, like, hey guys, let's like cooperate together, let's do stuff together, is, hey, you gather materials, I'll buy them off of you higher than what the Vanguard will sell back to you for. So
Okay.
it's sort of been working, at least with Winter. She's been working with me. Well, she's also trying to commission the shop to get materials for her character Xander, who was in Qodrons.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's something that we're working on. But she's been giving me materials from her Elixni character, and I've basically been giving her all of the glimmer for every single material she gives me. Kazagan started giving me unnatural metal.
Unnatural metal. Oh
so he started selling it back to me instead, and we just made that a point of like, hey, let's RP this happening. But that's the only character that if money was an issue, like, she'd probably be the one to go for it. Otherwise, my new baby character, and then Keela's like, nah. The glimmer isn't something they really so much care about.
I'm honestly, I don't know if we'll get anyone with it. I kind of want to throw that out there to see if we do get anyone with it, because I'm going to take that information of the players/characters who are enticed by that, and I'm going to put that in my pocket, and I might whip that out later. You never know.
Oh my god.
That's
Lou.
important information to have, though. Who can you catch with just a large bounty of glimmer? But I think
that's my response, Lou.
I was gonna say, I think it'll probably be like Fizdifa, Short Fuse, maybe Laz and Bass, but they were already interested, so like it's just icing on the cake for them.
Yeah, that's for the challenge half the time, I feel.
Yeah, but I think that's gonna do it for this dev commentary episode. Tomorrow, actually. I mean, when everyone listens to this, it will be in the future. So when I say tomorrow, it's actually going to be like, I don't know, a few months in the past by the time you hear this, because we're not releasing any of these episodes until we have finished Qodron's Uprising. So for my tomorrow here in the present during this recording, I am going to be doing the makeup stream for the last one that we missed, and that is players are going to be taking on the node. They still don't have the transfinite needle, but I am interested to see if they learned from their mistakes last time or if they are just going to make the same mistakes over again. So this will be interesting. But yeah, we're going to bid you adieu for now, and hopefully this finds you well in the future. Let me know how the future's going for you, and we look forward to having you watch us next time. Yeah, make good choices out there, folks, and try not to die.